When I see people's Halloween collections, for some reason, a lot of people are missing this one. Hey guys, what is going on? Come on in. This is your old pal CHH. Have a seat. I got some fun stuff I want to talk to you guys about. As you know, on this channel, the thing that's kind of become the theme of it is the history of horror and history of releases and things like that, and talking about what it meant to me, what it meant to the genre, what it meant to labels, that sort of thing. So I've got two releases. One of these is really cool for its historical purposes, and the other's the same because it bookends a certain era, but it's also a great release till this very day. And it's one that I never see people show off in their horror collections, specifically their Halloween collection. So I'm almost wondering, do you have this? Most of you, I think, at least know about it, but some of you may not. But let's get right into it. So guys, I'm going to be talking about Anchor Bay today. Now, I love Anchor Bay. I wish I appreciated them more, as I was getting into this. But, I didn't realize how important Anchor Bay would be. Anchor Bay was the label before Scream Factory, Arrow, and it was everything. It was such a great label. The variety of stuff they had was amazing, but honestly, one of the most coolest things that they did, obviously, was their Halloween releases. Now, Anchor Bay has a ton of Halloween releases over the years, but one of these, I remember when it came out, and I remember just in culture, it seemed like it was a bigger deal than other stuff, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember it was 2007, there was a big banner that I saw on the wall of FYE with the logo of Halloween, this one right here. There was that logo right on the wall, and it says, now on Blu-ray. It was a big thing on the wall in there. I'm talking about this. Now, this release, it's funny how dated this looks now, but I'm talking about this right here. This is the 2007 Halloween Blu-ray release. Now, talk about a release that's considered vintage now. I hate to admit it, but 2007, guess what, guys? That is almost 20 years ago. 20! I can't believe it. I remember going in FYE and seeing this, and I was just thinking to myself, how did they do that? How did they take an old movie and make it on Blu-ray? I was so naive at the time. I figured that the only way to see movies like this in high definition was movies had to be made today. I didn't understand the concept of film, restoration, none of that. But the interesting thing about this is, look at this. When Blu-ray first came out, which I believe hit the market in 2006, they really wanted to drive home the fact that this was a higher definition. So these beyond high definition marks, those were symbolic for, the time. And what I like about this, which honestly, this has a vintage look to it, a vintage vibe to it. Now, they even have, see if you guys can see that, they have the Halloween is an absolutely merciless thriller. I would compare it to Psycho, Roger Ebert. So they even have the Roger Ebert quote on here, which, funny story, Roger didn't like this movie at first, but I think he went back maybe the next year or sometime and re-reviewed it, and he was like, no, I was wrong. This is a masterpiece. So the story of this one's interesting, man. I remember it came out early in Blu-ray. Anchor Bay was pretty much that way. They would always have stuff come out at the beginning of new formats. So when Blu-ray came out, they hit the scene pretty fast. Like I said, 2007. Blu-ray really was around, I think, around 2006, maybe even a little bit 2005, but I'm pretty sure 2006. And they had this out. So I actually put this one on, and I watched a little bit of it. Let me show you guys what's so interesting about this. So when you pop the disc out, which the disc looks like that, let me show you guys what this is, because now looking back, it's so funny. Blu-ray disc and Michael, but when you pull it out, there's a blue tint to the whole thing. Look at that. So the interesting thing is, I don't think this is actually a well-liked Blu-ray. And I think it's because what's interesting about this is it looks like, the thing about Halloween is, like, at the nighttime scenes, there was always this kind of, like, bluish tint to it. And when I watched this one, I thought maybe I could be wrong, but it seems fairly evident that this one kind of, like, gets rid of, like, all that blue and the nighttime stuff. Definition-wise, I was actually surprised at how unimpressive this was. It doesn't look that great, At the time, though, I think this probably was impressive. But by today's standards for a Blu-ray, this doesn't really cut it. But it's so interesting looking at this. because this was right at the start of Blu-ray. Blu-ray has come a long way. I still think Blu-ray is a very viable format, and I'm actually a big fan of Blu-ray. But this release right here symbolizes the start of the Blu-ray era with Anchor Bay. And just for history purposes, I always loved looking at this release and having this release. They had just changed the logo, and it's the first time Halloween ever hit high definition in 2007. I do think that they have this actual Blu-ray color timing and stuff like this on the Scream Factory 4K. I could be off, but I'm pretty sure that they did that. That Scream Factory 4K, I don't care what anybody says about Scream Factory. The Halloween release from Scream Factory is one of the best releases. It's the absolute greatest release of Halloween of all time. Extremely comprehensive, multiple versions of the film, multiple bonus features. This one does have the Cut Above the Rest documentary, as well as the audio commentary with John, Jamie, and Deborah Hill, which was debuted, I think, in the 1994 Laserdisc with Deborah Hill. It's a great commentary, too. Just a great commentary. And trailer and TV spots, and there's even a segment on here where they show other Blu-rays that are going to be available from Anchor Bay. So, it's interesting. I think if you guys haven't popped this on, I think you should take it, go play it, and just look at the picture quality. It's actually surprising how unimpressive this is. But I do love this release for the history's sake. I love the fact that this was the debut of Halloween. And it's just, look at it. Nothing crazy about it. It's just simple artwork. Got the logo right there. No slipcover as far as I was aware. I don't know if slipcover really became a thing for Blu-ray yet. I'm sure it did. And I know that Anchor Bay did do slipcovers for some releases down the road, but not that one. So that's a cool one. But this one's really interesting. This is the one, when I see people's Halloween collections, for some reason, a lot of people are missing this one. And I don't understand why. Because this release, to me, was a huge deal. I didn't realize at the time, though, that this was going to be the bookend of something that was going to symbolize the end of Anchor Bay. Because, yes, Anchor Bay really had their releases on the Scream Factory box set, but I don't look at that as Anchor Bay anymore. I look at that as just, you know, this is Scream Factory doing their thing. And, you know, that was that. So, this is going to be interesting to talk about, guys. Who remembers this? The Halloween 30th Anniversary Media Book. Now, I know, you're probably wondering, was this a domestic release? Was this a foreign release? This was USA. And funny story, when I heard about this release, it was to commemorate the 35th anniversary, which was a big deal. And I remember knowing that this was coming out on a certain date. I remember going to Walmart, guys. They had a display for this, like a little banner over the new release section, and it had a picture of Michael on there. It was so freaking cool. I remember I did a video review of this, but I didn't think to film what I saw at the store. I should have done that. But I get this release, and I'm like, wow, what is this? It's a book? Yeah, I'd never seen anything like that before. We'll look through the pages, and as I do that, I'm going to tell you a funny story about this release, because lo and behold, I was in contact with Sean Clark while he was doing something involving this release, but I didn't know what it was. So while I flip through the pages, let me tell you a quick story. You guys are going to like this. So there's a company called Silver Champagne Novelties. Now, that company was the company that Sean Clark had years ago, where he was making masks, hockey masks, and Halloween 3 masks specifically, which was really cool. Now, I had purchased my second mask from him at the time, which was the Witch Silver Champagne mask. Now, the day I bought it, I was super excited. This was late 2011. Lo and behold, I get an email the next day from Sean Clark, and he's saying, I just want to let you know, I'm shutting my site down. Site's going down. I'm done with Silver Champagne Novelties. So you got the last order, but I'm done. I'm done. So I say, okay. He says he's going to fulfill my order still. Well, it's now early 2012, maybe sometime in March, April. I sent him an email just checking in. You know, usually things take a couple months. But at this point, I was thinking, oh, my mask should be done by now, right? Well, he says, I'm busy. I'll get to it soon. I'm like, okay. I check in again a couple months later. Same thing. Sometimes I couldn't even hear from him. You know, I just wanted my mask. I wanted my Silver Champagne Novelties mask. I was so excited. But this was before Trick or Treat Studios, guys. You have to remember, this was before all of that. You know, so It's now like late 2012. And, you know, there's been an announcement by this point that, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis is going to be doing a convention. This was a big deal. She was doing her one and only horror convention. Finally, I email Sean, and we kind of go back and forth, and I was just like, hey, man, I know you're busy. I'm not taking anything away from that, but, like, it's been a long time. Can I please have my mask? You know, those things weren't cheap. Finally, we go back and forth for a second, and he's just like, I'm sorry. I know it's been a long time. I'm going to get it out to you. And so I get that mask maybe a month later after that, which was fine, you know. I waited that long. Come to find out, why was Sean so busy? You know, why did it take so long? The reason is because he was trying to do the whole thing with Jamie Lee Curtis behind the scenes of getting her to do the convention, booking all that, and I can't pretend to even fathom how much work and effort goes into something like that. So there's a documentary on here. Let me show you. You'll see right there, it says, New, The Night She Came Home featurette. It's a great documentary all about Jamie Lee Curtis coming back to do a convention. Her at the convention. She never left early. If the convention on night 1 was supposed to end at 10 because she was signing an autograph, she'd stay to midnight to finish. She never left. She was a trooper. She donated all of her money to St. Jude's. Everybody's got their opinion about Jamie Lee Curtis for one reason or another. Some people don't like the fact that she's open about not liking horror movies. I could give a rat's ass as long as you're not a criminal. Like, you know, people like that are criminals doing these movies. If you don't like it, I don't care. I just enjoy the movies one way or the other. And I appreciate the honesty. I don't like it when people are fake. So if she doesn't like them, okay. Doesn't bother me whatsoever. She still loves the fans and stuff like that, and I gotta respect that. So that's where this documentary premiered. I believe it's on the Scream Factory Blu-ray, but this release is so interesting. It had this new artwork done for it, which you can see on the disc and the cover. But what's great about this release is it came and it went, guys. And like I said, for some reason, I never see people with this release. Now, I do see people with another kind of release. Now, Anchor Bay sold out of this, I'm guessing, super fast. Maybe a couple months later, it got restocked in places like Best Buy in a standard Blu-ray case like this, but it had this artwork. So this version, the media book version, I don't know if it's expensive online, but it's a release I've had now for 12 years. Stars Anchor Bay, and it's one of my favorite releases. Just a really cool release. The fact that they did a media book, which is not something you see a lot in America. Yeah, I love it. But this also symbolizes the end for Anchor Bay. Like, this really was the goodbye. I didn't know it was going to be, though. No, of course they kind of went on, and they were putting out all the stuff for, you know, Walking Dead and all that. But when it comes for me as a hardcore Halloween fan and horror lover, this was like the goodbye. It's just, this was the goodbye, and it's hard to accept that looking back, and I didn't realize it, but... So these two releases are pieces of Halloween history. The start of Halloween on high definition, and then the end of Anchor Bay's run with Halloween, essentially. Now, here's the other thing I'll add. I said that this is not a very impressive-looking Blu-ray. Now, compared to some of the old DVDs, it looks better, but by today's standards, this wouldn't satisfy the average person. This version, though, would, because they did a brand new transfer remaster with Dean Cundey again for this one, and I watched some of this when I put it on before I did this video. You guys would be impressed by this one. This one looks really good. It looks really good. It even says, all new HD transfer supervised and approved by cinematographer Dean Cundey, and he did a great job on this one. So this one is still a great way to watch the film. Not so much this one, but also because this is a weird hiccup, it's also cool for history's sake. So I love these little oddball releases for a series that I love, and I wanted to talk to you guys about those today. So let me know your story if you remember getting Halloween on Blu-ray for the first time in the late 2000s, specifically 2007. And if you were lucky enough to get your hands on that media book, it doesn't seem like a lot of people have that one today. When I look at their collections online, it came and it went, and then they reissued it. But that media book, yeah, that's a cool one. So that's today's video, guys. I hope you like going down memory lane with me, because, boy, I sure love it. Thank you for watching. God bless y'all, and I'll see y'all next time. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.